any sensation that is out of the ordinary, which our bodies are really weird and do crazy things all the time, and we get sensations all over our body. My first thought is always, oh no, what's that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, do I need to go to the
Exactly.
doctor? Is it cancer? Is it a tumor? Oh, Daniel.
It's
Hi.
nice to see your smiling face.
I know, I've missed you and everybody.
So welcome, everybody. I'll introduce myself. My name is Daniel Lyman. I'm a psychotherapist. I'm the director of the Mind Body Therapy Center, which is a group practice of therapists. We are dedicated to helping people overcome chronic physical symptoms. I am located in Portland, Oregon, where it's a little gray and drizzly, to no surprise to anyone today.
Shocker.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm excited to be here.
I'm happy you're here as well. And I'm Rachel Amondson. I'm a social worker and mind body coach. I have a private practice, and I also lead groups on Curable, which is a wonderful thing that I get to do. And I get to co-host this with my dearest, my sweetest friend, Daniel, which is always a joy and delight. And today we get to talk about pain catastrophizing.
Yes.
Everyone raise your hand. I can't see you, but you know.
All right,
Who deals with this from time to time or all the time?
Let's define it first. What is pain catastrophizing?
You tell me, Daniel.
Great. Pain catastrophizing is when we experience a sensation in our body, oftentimes pain, but it could be another sensation, and we extrapolate that out to mean something scary. So if my foot hurts, this is actually a real life example because I did a long race on Sunday and my foot's still bothering me. Mm-hmm. That's because I was wearing bad shoes. It's not a chronic symptom for me. But if I were to sit here and think of my foot and then think, oh no, I might not be able to walk tomorrow, or even as simple as it's going to hurt when I stand up, which I don't know if that's true or not, but that's catastrophizing. It's looking at this sensation in my foot and responding to it with fear and anxiety about the future.
Yeah, and if anybody is like me, any sensation that is out of the ordinary, which our bodies are really weird and do crazy things all the time, and we get sensations all over our body. My first thought is always, oh no, what's that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, do I need to go to the
Exactly.
doctor? Is it cancer? Is it a tumor? So we're going to talk about what to do when we have those tricky little brains that like to go to those places and try to protect us.
Yeah. I think you summed it up perfectly with, oh no, what's that?
Yeah.
So we respond to the sensation with fear and anxiety. And to be clear, catastrophizing isn't just around pain. We can catastrophize in all parts of our lives. And the more we do it, the better we get at it. So it's one of those habits, it's one of those skills that we want to get better at, is managing the pain catastrophizing, or recognizing when it's happening so that we can intervene on our own behalf. Because if we let our brains run wild with catastrophizing, we're going to be living in a horror movie. Let's externalize this. If I was Rachel's brain and I was sitting here to get to be your brain, and I'm sitting here and I'm being your brain and I'm telling you, uh-oh, Rachel, that plant behind you is going to fall and break your head. And maybe there's a hurricane coming at the same time. And also, do you know where your kids are? Maybe they're not safe right now. Also, do you know, it goes on and on and on and on. And that's,
feeling
maybe she's getting anxiety
rise.
right now.
As soon as you say all these things.
Exactly. So catastrophizing, this is anxiety. This is catastrophizing about Rachel's life here. And so as Rachel's brain, if I'm giving her these messages all the time, we're going to feel terrible, right? Even just like joking about it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So we really want to be mindful when we're doing this to ourselves, or our brain is doing this to us, I should say.
And, you know, a lot of us have gone through really legitimate, difficult experiences. And so it doesn't just always come out of nowhere. It comes from past experiences, and sometimes it comes from nowhere, but sometimes, it's from kind of past traumas, and we'll talk through that more. But I actually was on an airplane with my two daughters 2 days ago, and I have gotten...
And Rachel loves flying.
I used to love flying. Yeah. I did. My mom worked for the airlines. I grew up on airplanes. It was totally fine. And for some reason, I've developed a fear of turbulence in the last several years. I think since my kids were born. Anyway, we were in the air, and the turbulence was legitimately, I talked to the flight attendants after, some of the worst turbulence I have ever felt and the flight attendants have ever felt. It was so scary. Turns out, fight, flight, or freeze, I'm freeze. I couldn't move. I knew the plane was going down. I just That's what was happening.
And in those last moments, you were thinking of me, right?
Of course. Your life flashed through my eyes. Meanwhile, my daughters are next to me and they are having a great time. They're laughing. They think it's fun. My youngest daughter is saying, how old do I need to be to go skydiving? Anyways, so what I did was something that I actually kind of do and recommend for people. So what I did was realized I'm alone here. I'm the only one in this area that's freaking out, which made me feel even more isolated.
Right.
And even more scared, right?
Yeah, right.
Once we sort of balanced out, I looked in the row next to me, and there were two people, a man and a woman, who were both like panic attack level. They were so scared. And so what I did was, I'm going to be there for them. I'm going to stop focus on me, and I'm going to focus on these other people who are struggling. My daughter gave the woman her stuffy. We were talking to them. We started laughing about how scared we were and how scary this experience was. And we're just like, we're going to get through this together. And I was just thinking about that, especially with Curable. It's like this magical opportunity for people who are going through chronic symptoms and a lot of these similar things to be able to come together, support each other, be there for each other, relate to each other. Because I think the more we can laugh about our brains doing this, the more quickly we can kind of get out of our own.
I love that example. So doing something for someone else, and it was like doing something emotional and physical, being there for somebody else, talking to them, helped you reduce your own catastrophizing. Maybe your brain wasn't as busy telling you, we're going to die.
Correct. Because actually, when we give advice to other people, we're much more wise when it comes to other people. We start to listen to that, right? And our body and our nervous system hears that. Hey, we're going to be okay, and this is just turbulence, and it's going to be fine. And if we're going down, it's going to be fine. Just like having as much fun as we can with this, what we're given with these brains of ours.
You're making me think of what I need to do, which is I have been, when I was younger, when I was like 8, and then when I was a teenager, I was in 2 car accidents where the car was completely totaled. And one was quite a bad car accident. I had some medical issues because of the car accident. So,
how old were you?
The first one, I was 8. The medical issues were just, I like sprained a lot of muscles or strained a lot of muscles. Also because the car was completely totaled. We were on the freeway, or it's kind of a long story. But the point is, now my brain catastrophizes a lot when I'm in the car. Of course, it does around my own physical symptoms as well, but this is kind of outside of pain. It catastrophizes when I'm in the car. But you're giving me an idea that when I'm not driving and I start to get that catastrophizing, I'm just going to turn to the person who's driving and be like, we're going to be safe. It's okay. We're totally fine. And you know what? They will probably laugh at me, and that will probably get me laughing, which is great. Totally. Like, it will help externalize this, and my brain will stop telling me this is the car accident that kills you.
Yeah. Well, I think because when we're trying to hide it and keep it inside, it makes it so much scarier because we're like,
and we're also not usually very good at hiding it. At least I'm not in general. I usually grab the bar in the car and I'm trying to breathe really tight. Like,
I'm not winning an Oscar for hiding my emotions anytime soon.
Definitely not. Yeah. So catastrophizing comes up in all these different ways. And if we can externalize, we're going to show some tools and tricks here for ways to manage catastrophizing. Yeah. For those of you that haven't watched before, Rachel and I are going to show some video of us working with a patient on catastrophizing. And it's just a short little clip here where I teach one specific tool for catastrophic thinking. So let's pull this up here. Let's start there. What are the thoughts associated when your knee is hurting?
Did I do something that I can't undo? Was I think a lot of it, I'm pretty sure that I need to push the envelope here about what I can do. And I'm doing physical therapy with, I think, someone who's safe. She's not giving me negative information. Yep. I'm trying to push how much I walk, etc. Okay. The things are going to hurt. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that I can do this without some pain. So when that comes up, I'm challenged to put it in a good container, in a sense.
Tell me more about that.
That the container of you're getting stronger, you're working to make this better. There's going to be some things that happen. Good. You know from the fast that ice can help if you go too far. That's that container. The other container is the scary what if container.
Okay. And when that's, so we've talked a little bit about this. I'm going to break this down very simply. We're going to talk about this as the 3 C's.
Okay.
So you've got that container that you just talked about, which is the positive container, which is great. But when you go into the scary container, like we just talked about with your knee, we're going to exercise these 3 C's, which is the first is to catch the thought. Now, the thought may show up in the form of a question, like we talked about before, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if this, or what happens when this happens, or what if I'm never able to do this? That's still a thought, and it may show up as a question, but we want to catch it. And if we catch it, that's what we talked about. It puts us a little distance between us and the thought so that we know it's not 100% factual. We catch it, and then the next step is actually one of the hardest steps is we congratulate ourselves. Which sounds kind of cheesy, but whenever we have a behavior that we want to continue, we need a little bit of a reward to facilitate the continuing of the behavior. It's like giving ourselves a cookie every time we do something. It's a little bit like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but like training your dog to sit, you give it a treat after every time so that you know.
No, I thought of ice cream right away.
There you go, ice cream. There you go, exactly.
Put ice cream in that container because you did a good job, Susan.
Yes, exactly. So you catch that catastrophic thought, then you congratulate yourself.
Yeah.
By maybe literally giving yourself ice cream or metaphorically giving yourself ice cream.
Yeah.
And then this is another, I mean, the second 2 steps they're a little tricky. Then you carry on, which means you don't continue to indulge that catastrophic thought. You continue on doing whatever you were doing or thinking about something else, whatever you were thinking about before then. Now, the trick is you may start to catastrophize immediately after you carry on. Start the process again.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
So those 3 C's, catch, congratulate, and carry on.
Yeah.
Like anything else, the more you practice it, the easier it's going to get.
Love it. Catch is the first one. Congratulate, that's my favorite. I love congratulating myself.
I love telling myself I did a good job.
And then carrying on.
Yeah, and you know what? Another thought that I had while watching this was it's a really hard thing to practice if we're only practicing distancing ourselves from thoughts when it comes to catastrophic thoughts. The reality is we want to distance ourselves from all of our thoughts. We want to get really good at recognizing that thoughts are just thoughts. We don't want to try and exercise only when it's tough, exercise this skill only when it's tough. We want to do it all the time. So this may sound kind of rough or backwards to people, but even positive thoughts we want to distance ourselves from. Even the ones that says, if I'm bringing Rachel's brain again and I'm saying to Rachel, gosh, you are just the best co-host there's ever been. No one is better than you. There's nothing you've ever done wrong. You're perfect in every way. Of course, that feels good. And also, we do want to keep some distance from those thoughts as well. We don't want to believe them 100%, even if they may be 100% true.
Thank you. But yeah, it's true. If, I always tell clients, like, if our brain is the subway and it's going to crazy town, like, we're just stepping on the platform and watching it, watching those thoughts.
Watch the trains go by. So the 3 C's, it's a kind of a classic technique and it works really well. So catch, congratulate, and carry on. Everybody can use that.
All right. Well, maybe we get into my video and then questions.
Let's do it.
Hi, Tom.
Hi.
Okay. So I want to hear a little bit more. I want you to tell the curable users just about your experience with pain catastrophizing. You're so similar to all of us. Kind of tell us quickly about how long you've been dealing with pelvic pain and the pain catastrophizing that comes with that.
Yeah, so I've been dealing with pelvic pain for 3 years now. And I have this tendency when my pain starts up that I can't focus away. It's always in the back of my head all day, whatever I'm doing, it's always there. And I start getting into these circles of thoughts of what if it gets worse? What if I can't go to work? What if I can't do this or that? And it's just very, very hard sometimes.
And if you were to try to pinpoint what happens in your body, we talked a little bit about this before, but what happens in your body when you are feeling all of those catastrophic thoughts and worst case scenarios? What do you think is happening?
I start tensing up, like all of my muscles in my chest and my belly will get really tight. Yeah, my breathing gets kind of flat.
And what do you usually do to get out of it, or how do you tend to deal with that when it comes in?
Well, I've been using Curable for a while, so I do have some strategies. But I think instinctively I'm just trying to distract myself with something, or just do this sort of somatic tracking thing where I'm, focusing on it briefly and then try to calm myself down and be like, it's probably not dangerous, and it may never get worse. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know we forget about that part of the equation. It might be okay, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do a little somatic experiencing about kind of what's going on in your body, and I'll bring in a little self-compassion to it, as I always do, and then I want to kind of tap into your intuition, because just from talking to you, I know that you have a really good intuition, but you also have a human brain that can worry and go places it shouldn't. So if you're comfortable, or you get as comfortable as you can, and just kind of settle in. Close your eyes if you feel okay with that. Just sinking in right here to this moment. Allowing your breath to slow down. Shoulders to relax. Yeah, settling in. So I just want us to do some investigation on allowing that to come up. We're not going to try to distract you right now from those fears. We're going to let them come in. So go ahead and allow yourself to feel all those fears that are so familiar to you. What if this gets worse? What if I can't work? What if I have no more income? What if I can't move? Do you feel that tightening coming in?
Yeah.
Almost immediately, huh? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to tend to that. Okay. That tightness, that fear. So maybe put your hand on your chest and maybe one on your belly if you can, where that tightness is usually coming in. And we're just going to see if we can tend to that with a little compassion. This is so normal. This is okay. This is what your brain does to keep you safe. And now I want you, Tom, to bring your awareness to that intuition, to that gut feeling inside of you that you can trust when you are at your most grounded, wise self. Can you come into that feeling right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Where do you feel that intuition?
Like right in my center, just below my heart.
Great, right in your center. So I want to ask that part of you right now, what that part of you thinks of all the catastrophizing that you do. What if we could give that part of you a voice, what does it want to tell you?
That whenever I've done that in the past, it never got as bad as I thought.
Okay. So we have some evidence that it's never as bad as you think. Is there anything else in there that it wants to communicate to you?
Just that I shouldn't make myself crazy.
Okay, you shouldn't, but you might, because you're human. So we're going to just try to accept. We're going to just try to allow the catastrophizing to be. We don't need to worry that it's going to take over or that it's going to make you crazy. It's just a part of being human. It's a part of having this hypervigilant brain. We just want to kind of allow it to be, not give it too much power, right? We just want to kind of be able to catch it and give it some compassion and not give it too much power. And we want to give more power to that intuition inside of you. Tell me how your kind of chest and belly feel right now.
A little more relaxed, like I can breathe a bit more deeply.
Okay. Is there anything we can do? I don't have the answer to this, but is there anything we can do in this moment to give more validity and power to the intuition and just kind of lovingly let go of that catastrophizing over hypervigilant brain?
I think maybe just giving it more space, which sounds kind of weird, but
no, I love that. Yeah.
like giving it more time to concentrate on that.
Great. What does space look like? What does space feel like?
Just sort of getting into the feeling of like the more positive, less catastrophizing part, and just trying to sit with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, take a few more breaths here. And whenever you're ready, you can come back to the screen. How was that for you?
Very interesting. Yeah.
Tell me what was interesting about it.
It's kind of giving yourself permission to do that in a way.
To
feels
do what?
really good. To really just give that intuition feeling more space and not let it be put under by the whole fear and panic mode.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you did that. That was so cool that you were able to tap into that. And I didn't have that answer that it needed more space, but you had that answer. And I think that's what's so inspiring and cool is that you actually have that tool inside of you. So when it comes to catastrophizing, it sounds like what needs to happen is giving a little bit more time, slowing down, and giving more space so that the intuition, who's probably really quiet compared to, warning lights, everything's terrible. What if we all, what if we go down? But that quiet little intuition is like, hey, I'm here. Can you listen to me?
Yeah.
So moving forward, what do you think you could do to kind of tap into that more?
I think maybe make time for it consciously, to just sit with it. So like when I'm feeling like everything's getting too much again, just taking a couple of minutes to get into a quiet space and just try and focus on that.
I love it. Amazing, Tom.
All right. Yeah, Tom. That was amazing. I love that. I also love, Rachel and I took very different tactics on this in terms of like a somatic versus a more cognitive response. And I love that there are tools out there at your disposal, and it's about figuring out which ones work best for you. It was great to see Tom have such a positive response to the idea of just listening to his intuition. Because as you said, that fire alarm, when it's that loud in our head, it's really hard to listen to our intuition unless we consciously choose to.
Yeah. One thing I was going to say, Daniel, is I love the 3 C's. That was kind of new for
very
me.
Very tangible. Yep.
Very tangible.
Yep.
Yeah. So once again, catching the thought, congratulating yourself for catching the thought, and
then carry on. Yeah, and it's the kind of thing that actually we tell people you need to repeat that 1,000 times before it starts to become second nature. Because what happens is we believe our thoughts innately. We want to believe our thoughts, or we think that our thoughts have a lot of value, when most of our thoughts do not. Most of our thoughts, most of the time, are actually not worth giving a lot of weight to. Thank you to Tom and Susan for volunteering for this one. We really appreciate it. It's always helpful to watch these things. All right. Thank you so much, Rachel. Yeah, and thank you, everybody, for being here.
All right. Thanks, guys.